am compelled by Schlock.
I want to schlock your blood. What is up, everybody? I'm Darby Ellis Lewis Wilson, and with me is Chris Anonymous, and we are a show about talking schlocky movies, and boy, do we have a doozy for you tonight. What's going on, Chris? How is the world in your neck of the woods? Any undead musical activity?
Just still reeling from the experience of watching this movie. Watched it on Saturday, and it's still coursing through my veins.
We had a little bit of a watch party when we did it, when we watched it, and that made it substantially better. I think it may have been hard to get through without three other voices commenting on what was going on. The movie, of course, that we're talking about is Rockula. Came out in 1990, but the movie was actually completed in 1988, and it took a while to get it distributed because I believe the companies that had made it, I think were like going out of business or something like that. I can't imagine why.
I had no idea why.
But it took a while for the movie to get released, and boy, I believe that this was made in the 80s. It drips.
This is the 80s time capsule.
Yeah. So the cost of this movie is a staggering $1.5 million, which I believe I think that's probably right in the wheelhouse for what actually happens in the movie.
Yeah,
they don't go to outer space or anything.
Yeah, it looks like it cost $1.5 million. It doesn't look like it was money well spent. Well, I guess we'll find out.
I can't tell you how much the movie made because I couldn't find a figure on that. But in lieu of a figure for how much it made, let me read you this little snippet from the Wikipedia. Let's see. Rockula only played a few theaters before being dumped on video in August 1990, where it remained largely ignored. Thus the fate of Rockula.
I can picture like a video store, and like you walk in, and there was the box that had the art, and then behind it they had the little clamshells with all the actual movies, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I just picture like you going in and want to get all these movies in 1990, and none of them are there. They're all rented. And then like there's Rockula, and there's like a stack of like 20.
I guess we got to watch Rockula.
It's that or nothing, kid.
So we're going to get into this movie and talk about our true feelings about it. So just be warned, there are spoilers. But
can you spoil this movie?
I think you should watch this and then decide if you want to watch Rockula. So you're welcome. But anyway, wherever you're at, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Definitely subscribe. It makes us feel good. It makes my heart grow 3 times bigger, like the Grinch. So the way we do this show is we watch everything on Tubi so that it's free and everybody can watch it. And then we do our little show and we talk about the good, the bad, and the schlock, what we like, what we didn't like, and just, the weird stuff about these movies. Like what's the big idea here? But first, we usually like to talk about how movies are connected to other movies. And there's a very interesting tidbit. Did you know, Chris, that the cinematographer for this movie was Francis Ford Coppola's nephew?
Yeah, John Schwartzman, the older brother of the actor Jason Schwartzman from Rushmore and a bunch of other great films. I didn't
know they were connected.
Yeah, he was the bad guy in Scott Pilgrim.
Oh yeah.
So that dude's
Okay.
older brother, and they're all in the Coppola clan, along with Nick Cage.
Did not know that, and he's relatively successful as well.
Yeah,
I think
he's
won some
Oscar
awards.
nominated. He went on to do Seabiscuit and a bunch of other dramatic Oscar movies and a lot of action movies. The Rock, Armageddon, Amazing Spider-Man, Jurassic World. This dude is a legit cinematographer, and this was his, I think, first film.
Got to start somewhere.
I mean, this is some Piranha 2 type stuff, right?
Everyone has their Rockula,
right? Everyone has their, yeah.
Whether you've seen it or not.
So besides that, the director, he went on to do a smattering of made-for-TV movies. But before he made this one, he did a little piece of schlock in the 80s called Ghoulies.
I love Ghoulies.
Yeah,
we gotta watch it sometime.
Yeah, and the dude's a writer director. Like, these are his passion projects. I'm sure he made enough money off of Ghoulies that he's like, I've always wanted to make a rock opera vampire movie.
To me, it sounds like, you know what? Once I had this really weird dream that didn't make any sense, I want to make that into a movie.
And he did.
And he did. And God bless him.
So the two leads, very, very watchable, but and they went on to do a lot of like small roles here and there, but nothing that really stands out in the realm of like schlock and or blockbusters. But what I
thought the main lead, I thought Ralph. I thought he was a good-looking guy.
He's a good actor. And I liked. They both have faces that you feel like you've seen 100 times in the 80s. Like, I'm surprised that the two leads were not bigger stars because they're very watchable, very charismatic. They had that nice 80s youth thing going on.
Well, but, Mona, for a while, I was thinking, is that Vicky Vale from Batman?
Nope.
Just without blonde hair,
right? Yeah, no, she has that just like that kind of look of like a bunch of different actresses. But it's the supporting cast that I want to talk about because he got musicians of varying degrees of talent and or fame. So let's start with the one who plays the vampire's mother. Tony Basil, man. That's the Mickey. Yeah. Hey, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. I mean, like, wow.
Which I'm pretty disappointed that there was no like, hey, Ralphie or hey, Rockula. You're so fine. I mean,
I thought she did a good job. I enjoyed watching her.
She was fun. She was definitely fun.
And then the villain is Thomas Dolby of She Blinded Me with Science.
Yes, I knew it. I'm like, I know this dude.
Yep. Yeah. So Synth Man just like totally reinvented the game in the 80s for how music sounded. Totally legit dude. I also enjoyed his performance, although it's very campy and over the top. It feels like that's what they wanted him to do. And so, yeah, again, and then last but definitely not least, a person who changed rock, R&B, modern music in general. I mean, he has one of the most famous beats, just great guitar player, all around amazing musician, Bo Diddley.
Old Bo Diddley.
Yeah. And it starts out.
He's got his cigar box guitar there.
Yeah, and it starts like he's a blues guy in this bar, and that makes total sense. And then where he goes is very interesting.
Totally bonkers. The next movie he was in after this was, I think, like 10 years later, in Blues Brothers 2000. Like, it's not like the guy was just in all of these movies. Like, his acting credit is very small.
Yeah.
And I just think it's wild that this was one of them. This movie.
Yeah. So that's it for Web of Schlock. It was just really interesting that you have like a director and two leads that, not to say they didn't work before, didn't work after, but really you didn't hear a lot about them. And then uber famous cinematographer and three relatively famous, influential, two of them influential musicians in all sorts of genres. It's just bizarre.
Yeah.
Like this movie. bizarre.
Well, yeah, let's get into the good and the bad. I will start with my good. So, first off, I got to give it to them that we talk about this all the time. Just when shows go for it and they're coming out of left field, they're being weird, they're throwing stuff out, and it's just not. Some of it's going to stick, and a lot of it's not. But you got to give them props for at least doing it and trying to go for it. They had this weird concept and they did it. And there are a lot of quirky, humorous parts in there. There's actually really a lot to like in this movie, just as far as pure camp and pure quirkiness goes. So, good for them for going for it. This is a weird like. I liked the vampire teeth. I thought they were some of the best looking vampire teeth I've seen in film. That's odd.
What about outside of film?
What about what?
Outside of film.
No, because it's fake and only losers wear fake vampire teeth.
Bro, you
Unless
just
it's
alienated half of our audience.
I'm sorry. Please keep watching.
I don't judge you if you wear vampire teeth.
So along with the going for it, I just gotta say, right, it's a fun concept, and there's a lot to like. For instance, the Munsters coach, the Dragula. I think it's what it is. It looks like
it's 100%.
Is that the Dragula? Is that Rob Zombie's?
Yeah. If it's not the Dragula, it's meant to evoke the Dragula.
Well, I'm guessing that it is, and that they did that as an attempt to just put in like these Easter egg things. I really do think that they went for it in this movie.
It's interesting though that it was the Thomas Dolby, the bad guy, who rolled up in this as opposed to the lead,
right?
The vampire.
Shouldn't Rockula come up in
Rockula?
But,
yeah,
I don't know. But
anyways. So
my number one favorite thing in this movie was the opening credits, the titles.
So much fun.
That set me up for a completely different movie. I was ecstatic when these came on. The cool art. It reminded me of I think it's a British cartoon that was on in like the 80s or 90s called Count Duckula.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about.
Anyway, it had like a really crazy, I think, English Monty Python art style to it, and so it totally evoked that for me. The music here was upbeat, and I was like, oh man, we're getting into it. And then when they go from cartoon into the real world, he has his back to the camera and has his hands up, and then starts playing chopsticks. Like I was down. I was like, this movie is going to be awesome. And then it just like just started going off into left field.
The rails. This was a roller coaster ride.
I think I have a picture of my reaction. I need this of like the Mona in the movie has like the perfect reaction, just like and that is like, this is how I feel like during this entire movie. Just this whole like, what did I just see from scene to scene? What was that about? What are they doing? So
it just happened.
A lot of the bad stuff is like the plot doesn't really make sense. Like there's just a lot of odd, unexplained things. I didn't really get the whole mirror. Vampires don't have reflections, but he's got this reflection that's sentient, that is trapped, but they never explain it. Like I thought that would be probably a central plot point, and they never explain it. So there's just a lot of really odd things like that just don't hit. And here's my biggest bad is that the music in it wasn't good. If the music in this was really catchy and toe tapping and memorable, that's probably the biggest one. I think that all of the flaws would be forgotten. And I think that this would absolutely be a cult classic, but the music, it's not catchy. It's not memorable. And so just like that Wikipedia quote, right? It went it got dumped to home video and was largely ignored because there's just nothing in the end memorable about it. So that's my bad. That felt like a real downer. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone who worked so hard on this movie.
Yeah.
What do you got for me, Chris?
So I love the crazy cast. Even like some of the bit players, like the mom's like wrestler boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Just so many great choices. Just bizarre. Her other date that's scuba diving in the tub. I mean, just
Tony Cox, is that his name?
Yep.
The Bad Santa.
This dude was in Over the Top, and he's like a 5-time world champion, like arm wrestler.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, okay, who is this guy? Should I recognize who he is?
Yeah. If you're into arm wrestling movies, then yes, you should.
We'll
have to watch Over the Top sometime.
We will.
So the cast, I also loved the basic concept and that they went for it. Like, this is a kitchen sink movie. This is pure schlock. They just, when you think they can't take it any further, for better or worse, they do. And it's usually for worse, but it endeared the movie to me more than it would have had they pulled back.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. This is bizarre cinema. It is just really weird. Also, it is so 80s, and I love that. Like, it feels like an 80s time capsule. And again, I think this movie could have been so much better. It has so many things going for it. But those were the good. The bad, it makes no sense. The screenplay, the plot, the structure. Like, and again, I like the basic story. There's so many things you could have done with it, but they don't explain any of it. Like, if this happens every 22 years, right, then we should know what worked and what didn't work and how it went awry. And so he should be like plotting to figure out, okay, I tried this back in 1943 and this didn't work in 72.
Yeah.
And, and there's none of that. It's just this mopey sad sack who's like, well, I guess I'll make her fall in love with me again. How am I going to do that? The band. So,
he's totally against it, then has a dream and then totally changes his mind.
There's lots of lazy writing, like the whole exposition bar scene at the beginning, where it just tells you everything that's going on, yet it doesn't really tell you anything, but it's just pure, unadulterated exposition with people who he's been drinking with and talking to before. So they would know this story. And they're like, but didn't you also that one time? Yes, that reminds me. There's some really lazy writing.
Well, and then they show us all of that story again in the dream.
Yep.
So it's a little wasted time.
I hate saying it, but the music, it's not that good. It's schlocky in that 80s way, and I love that. And I love that kind of like 80s vibe that can be just borderline crappy all the time. But if it would have been a little more memorable, a little catchier, the lyrics would have been a little stronger. There were some great moments in all the music. There were some great lines. There were some great little riffs.
Yeah, my favorite. I do have. I should have given a shout out to this. So the Rapula portion. I loved their hook. He's the DJ. I'm the vampire. Yeah. I think that could be taken as like a cool sample for like a much better song. But I do have to give them props for like one of the best rhymes I've ever heard, which was, it went along the lines of, I met this girl named Tina. All she wanted was my wiener. I was rolling during that. So it had its moments, but
and
but
I also
enough.
Like, that was just a bizarre song. But yeah, he's the DJ. I'm the vampire. That's pretty funny. A lot of the music was very exposition-y as well. Like, I'm a vampire, but I don't drink human. I drink blood, but I don't kill humans. I'm Rockula. Like, just He's like, and he's so afraid to tell her that he's a vampire. I think we've already just dovetailed into Schlock. I mean,
yeah, but he's singing about it. He tells her everything.
Yeah, every single song. It's like, hey, I'm a vampire, but I'm also a good dude. I'm Rockula. And she's like, man, your music's really good.
She thinks it's a shtick. She thinks it's all his persona.
Right. But he's scared to tell her. And then the song with the mother is just so, oh my gosh, I was rolling when
during the weird mom song.
The weird mom song, but specifically when the wrestler boyfriend accidentally bumps the phonograph.
Man, I tried to get a shot of that.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. So she's doing this dance. He accidentally bumps the phonograph, which makes the music skip. And she looks at him like, you're ruining my song. But then he's, very smart wrestler, quick on his feet. And he starts scratching the phonograph like it's a good turntablist. And then she kind of jams to it for a second. And then it just picks right back up and they finish the song. Like, yeah, that's amazing.
See, that's part of the just totally going for it portion of the movie, right? That's so dumb, but like that was fun. That was a fun
and
part.
Like the dream sequences were super bizarre. I'm thinking of the second one too, where
they're like hanging out with all the homeless children.
Well, no, that's not a dream.
That's the music video.
So we assume it's a date. And it just gets stranger and stranger. So hanging out with all these homeless people. And then there's these three little girls that are super creepy. And then it pans back and you realize that that's the music video they made for the song, but it was also
their date. Like it's pulling double duty. I thought that was kind of an interesting idea, but
I think in like a rom-com sort of thing, I think that's especially around music, I think that's a really cool device of like, yeah, we went on this date and then was the date the filming of the video, or did they have the date and like it so much they made the video? And if it was a real date, why were they hanging out on Skid Row? But no, the dream sequence where all the teddy bears are walking the plank.
Oh yeah.
That's just like a really creepy, cool image to see these like, yeah. Oh man.
And they keep going back to this whole pirate thing that our main villain, he was a pirate in a past life. And I thought that maybe would have come out more, like what is a modern day pirate? So it's certainly not a undertaker, right?
I don't think he's an undertaker
or whatever he's doing.
I think he's like, yeah, I think he works for the coffin people making their commercials. Yeah, I think he works for them in like their marketing department, but I don't think that's his actual job. I think his job is like TV and music and entertainment.
I assume that's why he was driving the Munstermobile around, because he's totally into his job. But I mean, what you're saying makes a lot more sense. However, he's like acting in them and whatnot when they have like all the crazy coffins.
Oh man, that's another thing I love that's just so schlock is the commercials that they had him do. Just bizarre with the rotating coffin
rolling over,
like so they can always be turned. If you were a disappointment to them in life, now they can turn in their graves. and then they go to the cryogenic chamber, and it's like all the infomercials, but like things you can learn as you sleep, like another language, or like perfect your golf swing.
But while you're dead. And then when he dies at the end, spoiler, he falls into his own trap of the cryogenic coffin. And then it immediately starts and you wonder what his voice is going to say. And it's the golf swing. And it's some priceless dialogue. Like there is some really funny one-liners and dialogue in this whole thing. Like there's so many bit parts that I think if you just would have spent a little more time tightening up the actual story and making it make a little more sense on like, because I never felt like, oh, this is the last time he's got to do it. Like I like the whole 22-year thing, but like there was no sense of urgency. There were no real stakes. And then it turns out to be the mother, and that's kind of a fun twist. I don't know.
Yeah.
Even though she's like living her life with all of her boyfriends, right? It's not
Right,
It's
like,
not
she
like
doesn't-
she's a lonely mother. She's like doing her thing.
Right. Which, yeah. So again, that makes no sense.
Well, I think if the music was better, because those dream sequences, like they're songs, right? That the music video, that's a song, and they go on for so long that if they were catchier and more engaging, then all of the other stuff would have just kind of fallen into place. I think.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
It gives you too much time to think about how weird the movie is instead of just like blasting you forward. So
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no. Finish that thought.
There's so many times I had to pause because my jaw was just dropped to the ground of like, I have no idea what I'm watching. And I've watched a lot of weird movies over the years.
Yeah.
And this is just one you're like after the rap song when everyone just sprays them with silly string. I'm just like, and they just hold the shot. And I'm like, huh. Okay. That's
couldn't
awesome.
get any Fago. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. The man in the mirror, the alternate Ralphie. Well, let me back up. Is Ralph, that's his name, right? Is Ralph
so.
Dracula, or is he just a random vampire?
He's a random vampire.
Okay. So I thought, like, first entering into this movie, I thought that he was Dracula. And then when they established that his mom doesn't have a reflection, but he does, and the reflection is talking to him, I was going on the assumption for a while that perhaps the reflection in the mirror is Dracula. But
it's not, it's Elvis.
Yeah, apparently. I thought it was Dracula trapped in the mirror, that persona. And until Ralph essentially like breaks the curse and gets his true love, like he can't be one with his Dracula persona or something like that. Like I just thought it would be a major plot point, but it leads us to this picture here,
which is amazing. Like the movie's over. The movie is over, and it cuts back to this guy trapped in the mirror, and he's like, fine. He's not dressed as Elvis. He throws a mirror trash can through the mirror, hops into our world with some 80s electricity, 3 Babylicious backup singers, electroport through as well. And then they go out on stage with everyone and do this Elvis song, which is strictly okay.
Yeah.
But it's awesome to end a movie with a big Dracula Elvis number.
So is he Elvis? Was Elvis Ralph in a previous life? And then he couldn't save this girl and then died?
No, because I don't think Ralph keeps dying. I think he has different personas of what he dresses like. But no, I think that this dude just wanted to be an Elvis impersonator. Like he's just mirror vampire Ralph is just living his best life, and that is dressing like Elvis.
It's if you're going to do a movie called Rockula, wasn't Elvis the king of rock and roll for a very long time? And if not still, so why not end it with the king of Dracula?
Right.
Dracula,
this movie makes absolutely no sense, but I will say that it's pure schlock, and that's a good thing. I think if you don't know what schlock is, you should watch this film. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying
here's the measuring stick for schlock.
Yeah. And
it can get better, it can get worse.
There are movies that are as schlocky, but also good, right?
Yeah.
And then there are movies that are schlocky and they're worse than this. I think that this might get better on repeat viewings. I don't think it'll ever be good. I can see that. Don't think it'll ever be a good movie, but I think it would get better with repeat viewings. Like,
would you watch it again? I think I'd watch it again.
I would totally watch it again if I got invited to a group schlock party.
A viewing, group schlock.
Yeah, if my friends,
Sorry.
I mean, I wouldn't have traveled that far, but I mean, could I step through a mirror into your house and watch it with you? Yeah,
that would be terrifying if you could do that. So, any final thoughts on this banger of a movie, Chris?
No, I am still reeling from this movie. My jaw was dropped about 5 minutes into the movie, and it's still there. This is just pure WTF. This is just pure like,
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. God
There's
bless
no-
them.
yeah, there's no
Good for
thumbs
you
up.
guys.
There's no thumbs down. It's just,
It's just a solid.
yeah,
Keep them there.
there. This is for you, Rockula.
So, the next movie we're going to be watching, it's a little bit of a change of pace. Normally we watch things on Tubi, but you know what? They're not sponsoring us. We're going to move over to Hulu for this next movie, for Predator 5, also known as Prey, Prey. I think it looks weird. It's Predator in the past. So we're going to check it out in our Schlockbuster review.
See you there.
Schlockity schlock.
All right. Till next time, I'm Darby Ellis Lewis Wilson. This is Chris Anonymous, and we'll see you next week.
Schlock, schlockity schlock, schlock, schlock. I am compelled by schlock, compelled by schlock, impelled by schlock. Wait, no.